All right, another day, another reason why the Democrats' January 6th narrative is imploding. Now, remember the linchpin for the left's insurrection narrative was the suggestion that there was this intense coordination going on among all these right-wing groups. And they all keyed in on one particular organization.
It's been very clear that the Proud Boys played a central role in what happened on January 6th.
It was people associated with the Proud Boys who instigated the first breach of the Capitol grounds.
They weren't just a bunch of losers who decided to arm up and go attack the Capitol. They had a plan.
Well, I wonder if any of those invalids will update their commentary given what happened in a D.C. courtroom this week, if they actually find out what happened in the courtroom or they're ignoring it. This from the AP. An FBI informant who marched to the U.S. Capitol with fellow Proud Boy members on January 6 testified that he didn't know of any plans to invade the building and didn't think they inspired the violence on that day. Furthermore, the court was shown a text message the informant sent to his FBI handler saying the Proud Boys, quote, did not do it, nor inspire. The crowd did as herd mentality, not organized. Wow. Here now to react, Florida Congresswoman Paulina Luna, who recently visited J6 prisoners in D.C. Congresswoman, this is, I mean, we knew this was likely the case, but this is a bombshell tonight. Your reaction?
I'm glad that you're putting the truth out there, Laura. You know, from what I have observed, there is absolutely a dual standard that exists within the justice system. And let's be clear, the FBI has been caught multiple times not acting in good faith on behalf of the American people or law enforcement. If I can just segue into real quick what I saw at the DC jail when I went there to check on some of these J6 prisoners, they're not being treated the same as the other inmates. And if I could just share real quickly for those that may not know, I was told by two separate J6 prisoners that they were actually basically threatened to be raped, one by a gate guard and another by a fellow inmate, and that yet they've been doing nothing about this. So this is really disgusting. But the fact is that from the beginning, it seems as though that there was a narrative that the left is really trying to push, and that is that if you are conservative, if you are Republican, that you are an enemy of the state. And it's time that as legislators, we stand together against this injustice.
Well, you also had two Democrats join you at the facility where these J6 defendants are being held. Here's what one had to say about it.
We were supposed to talk about or review how bad the conditions were. If anything, I have never seen a jail that afforded so many privileges to anyone. It's still prison. So prison is never going to be the Ritz-Carlton. Are they living in inhumane situations or not? And I can tell you there is nothing inhumane about this.
Your response to Congresswoman Crockett.
You know, Congresswoman Crockett actually sits on House Oversight with me. And what I was actually told by the inmates is that about a week prior to us visiting, that not only did they completely clean up the facility, but that some of those inmates were actually not even given access to the other programs that exist, that they had tablets taken away from them. And also some of the inmates were not even able to receive information from their attorneys via letters. So to say that these conditions were good is actually a gross misrepresentation of what we actually saw. And I guess my question to her would be, I know that she has extensive experience within the legal field, but when you have inmates that are telling you that you had a guard threaten to rape them, is that considered fair treatment?
Well, one thing that we also know is the Democrats used to be against solitary confinement. They used to call it cruel and unusual punishment, Congresswoman, just the existence of it. But that the so-called shaman, that QAnon shaman who's going to be released to a halfway house early, he was in solitary confinement for 10 months, nonviolent. He was nonviolent. 10 months? Where are the Democrats about human rights? Where are they now?
I mean, they're nowhere to be found. This is not the first time, again, Laura, that we've heard them really fall on their own sword against their false narrative. You know, these are the same people that also screamed BLM, that police were bad, and yet you bring them to a condition where you're knowingly seeing that these people are not being given fair access to basic rights and representation within our justice system, and they will sit there and they'll go on channels like MSNBC and lie to the American people.
Congresswoman, thank you for visiting them and for staying on this story. There's a lot more on this to come, and we're staying on it.